Welcome to the Brooklyn Book Festival. This is our 6th year, and I have to tell you, it is one of our largest years ever. And I think because the weather is so beautiful outside, people are staying outside instead of coming inside. But we thank you for being here. My name is Carlo Scissura. I'm the Chief of Staff to our Borough President, and we are very excited to be talking politics today. And I can't think of two better people that I'd rather talk politics with on a Sunday afternoon than Congressman Major Owens and Bob Hardt. I hope you all had a chance to read this book. If you haven't, you should buy it, you should read it, and you should get the congressman to sign it, because if you're a political junkie, it's a really great book, and if you're not a political junkie, you will become one after you read it. So it's very exciting. So to my left, and I wonder if that's purposeful or not, is Congressman Major Owens. Of course, he's a Democrat. He's a former congressman, but we always call him congressman. He represented the 11th Congressional District in the House of Representatives. The communities were, I guess, Brownsville, East New York, parts of Flatbush, parts of Park Slope, and I'm sure I'm missing one or two other, part of Bedford-Stuyvesant, a good central Brooklyn, part of Crown Heights, a good central Brooklyn district. He was elected from 1983 and served until 2007. He decided not to run for re-election at that point in 2006. He's also the author of the book, which we'll be talking about, and is a professor at Medgar Evers College in Brooklyn. So, Congressman, thank you. And to my right, again, Bob, I'm not sure if that means anything.
I'm not sure either.
Bob is slowly becoming a true legend in the political media circuit world of New York City government. He's the executive producer and political director for New York One, which we all watch. His imprint is very strong on Inside City Hall and on all things that go on there. So, Bob, we thank you for being here today. So what I'm going to do is really just kind of serve as a little bit of a moderator, a little bit of an MC, and if things get heated, then I'll try and control everyone, but I don't think they will. So, Bob, I'm going to turn it over to you, and maybe you can do a little intro, and then, Congressman, we'll hear your thoughts, and then we'll really make this a dialogue, get some questions in and everything. Is that good?
Sure.
Okay, Bob.
Great. Thank you so much, Carlo. I'd known, or thought I'd known, a fair amount about you, Congressman. And when I read your book, I learned a lot more. And one thing which I thought was very appropriate for today was when you moved to New York City, you're a Tennessee native, but when you moved here to New York City after you graduated from Morehouse, you started working at the Brooklyn Public Library, and you were an aspiring novelist and playwright. I did not know that until doing a little research for this book, so I thought that today was extremely appropriate at the Brooklyn Book Fair to have you here. And you told me before, I hope I'm not giving this away, that you're still working on a novel. So I'm looking forward to perhaps being here next year when we can discuss your novel rather than the Peacock Elite. The Peacock Elite is your study of the Congressional Black Caucus, which of course you were a member of for your 24 years when you were serving in Washington. And you never come out quite and say what the Peacock Elite is. It's at times, I think, a positive thing, and I think at times a negative thing. And I think a good opening question is, who are the Peacock Elite in terms of the Congressional Black Caucus, and why is it sometimes good and why is it sometimes bad?
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. And thank you, two of you, for having read the book. I want to just say that the previous panel that was here had a room full of people, and they were talking about rap poetry and music in politics. Very interesting. I should have joined them with my rap poems. And they had a big audience. They had a big audience because that's the way goes, if you attach something to pop culture, you get a bigger audience. And politicians have learned this, elected officials from A to Z, from Congress down to city council members, all have learned that the code of pop culture prevails in America, and they've gone overboard in terms of pop culture means you get your name known. It doesn't matter what it's known for. If you got a high name recognition, you get things done. You got high name recognition, the donors respond differently. They don't care what you've accomplished. Most donors don't look that close at what you've accomplished. They want 2 or 3 votes that they know they can safely get for you for their particular cause, but they also want somebody who's highly visible. So much of that pop culture style and credo has infected politics until you have a vast majority of politicians who are into just being peacocks, just strutting out, just emphasizing their style, getting their names known, and not doing the homework, the workhorse part of the business. Yeah, I think there should be some balance. I would criticize myself for saying there's a bit of imbalance. I wasn't enough of a peacock, but so it should be about balance. And I talk in my book about the balanced approach. But they've gone overboard in terms of it's just enough to peacock. So there's some tremendous amounts of legislation that never gets written, tremendous amount of legislation that gets written, and it's good legislation. And the mobilization and the manipulation and the things that have to be done by members of Congress behind the scene to make it happen, it is not there. We talk about, and we are upset about the great deal of power that people who have money have, power and influence. Combine the billionaires, about 400 billionaires, with the multimillionaires. So you're talking about 1,000 or 1,500 people who have the greatest percentage of the wealth in America. We're upset about that. And we say that they use that wealth to also exert influence over our democracy. But Michael Moore the other day said it quite simply. We outnumber them. In a democracy, we are still so many more of them, 150 million voters. They only have one vote. All the rich and powerful only have one vote. We outnumber them in terms of voting, and only if we let them push us into a situation where they can dominate the thinking and brainwash the population because they have the money to do it with the media. If we let that happen, then it's our fault. Thomas Jefferson talked about the blood of each generation having to be shed in order to guarantee democracy. We don't have to go that far. Not blood, but sweat is necessary. It's necessary for us to be much more active in our own political arena to make it work. We don't need an Arab Spring. We got the right to vote. But Americans have become too smug, and too lazy, and take a lot for granted. And you have people like the Tea Party people who are showing us, one good thing about them, they're showing us what a small group can do when they become very active. Why don't we have a countervailing force? The Black Caucus should be that kind of countervailing force. And my emphasis in my book, I'm focused on the Black Caucus, I'm close to it, but what I learned in the Black Caucus is something I'd like to see carried over. We need more groups like that. I think Madison said democracy should be dependent on countervailing groups, forces against each other, in a peaceful set of jostling, peaceful jostling. If that does not happen, if you don't have a countervailing groups, then one group that is in motion will run over us. So what I say about the Black Caucus is they have accomplished a great deal. My book is a criticism of what they have not accomplished and could have accomplished. My book is also praising them, which we don't get enough of. Politicians, elected officials don't get praised enough for what they do good. And my book also is a recommendation about how they might operate in the future to do a better job. In this modern, complex world of ours, they need to streamline the operation. We did some great things, and I'll go into them later, but we cannot accomplish the same kinds of things without a different kind of setup, a different kind of streamlined operation. And what applies to the Congressional Black Caucus could be applied to the New York State Caucus. Each state under Democratic organization. Each state is called a caucus. I mean, they have regions, and